The Devils are now 23-0-2 when leading after the second period. This particular matchup against the Canadiens, it was anything but perfect. But a win is a win, and they got the 2 points. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, College Hockey Club play announcer, Devils Rider Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. La victoire. I think that's how you say victory in French. The New Jersey Devils came out on the winning end against the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 4-3 in overtime. It wasn't pretty, but at least they walked away with 2 points. In the first segment, I will share my main takeaways from the game, including an injury update regarding Captain Nico Hischier. He got a little dinged up in this game. He was out of commission for a good while, and it led to a lot of people to speculate on social media. Oh, Nico Hischier is going to be out for this amount of time. What's going on with Nico? The Devils won, but the price they had to pay was losing their captain. I will discuss it because we did get some updates from Sheldon Keefe, and similar to Jacob Markstrom's injury circumstance, it's not that bad. And then in the second segment, like I do with every post-game recap victory, I will name my personal 3 stars of the game and some honorable mentions. And I will also play a soundbite from head coach Sheldon Keefe. And then in the third and final segment, I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade. Let's lead off with the biggest news surrounding this game, and that is Nico Hischier's injury situation. Now, what happened, you might be asking? Well, in the second period, right before the Cole Caulfield goal, Nick Suzuki got a little trigger happy with his stick, and he cross-checked Nico Hischier in the upper body area, and afterwards, Hischier was hunched over. There was no call from the referees. I think what happened was that Nico had control of the puck. Suzuki was being aggressive, trying to knock him off of it. He got control of the puck, and it resulted in Caulfield getting the second goal of the game for the Canadiens. However, MSG and also the Canadiens broadcast, because this was aired on NHL Network, showed another play that took place earlier in the period, and it was Josh Anderson tussling with Nico at one point. And Anderson's stick, similar to Suzuki, cross-checked Nico in the upper body area. So I think that was what initially dinged up Nico, and then the Suzuki cross-check just ultimately finished him. Worth mentioning that Amanda Stein did share on social media that Nico did play in one shift after he was hunched over on the bench in serious pain. But obviously, that's not good enough for the Devils' discourse because Nico, going the rest of the way, was nowhere to be seen. Sheldon Keefe provided an update post-game, and he said that Nico is going to be day-to-day. So let's all take a deep breath, and let's not assume the worst. Jack Hughes even said post-game nonchalantly that Nico has played in all the games up to this point, and right now, the Devils are scheduled to play the Philadelphia Flyers on Monday, which is tomorrow when this episode goes live. And Jack said, if he's not able to play, it's just next man up. And he acknowledged that Nico plays the game hard. And similar to what Keefe said about Markstrom's injury situation from a few days ago, things happen. So I don't think there's anything to really be all that concerned about. I think Nico is going to be fine. I don't think he's going to miss extended time. This is just pure speculation on my end, just everything I gathered from what Jack Hughes said post-game and also Sheldon Keefe day to day, see how he feels on Monday. If he's ready to go, maybe he'll be a game time decision. We don't really know, but similar to what I said about Markstrom, this is a lighter part of the Devils' schedule. So if this did have to occur, now is the time to do so. And it's also worth mentioning that the Devils will not be playing any back-to-back games going into the Four Nations break. I think that also works into the Devils' favor, but there's your update on Nico Hischier. All right. When looking at this game in general, the big thing I was looking from the Devils is that can they get back into the win column and put up wins more consistently? Because I was comparing the latest outing against the Boston Bruins in which the Devils scored an onslaught of goals on Jeremy Swayman. I felt as though that was finally the pinnacle moment where the Devils snap out of their funk and they go back to winning more consistently, similar to what happened during the 2022-2023 season, where the Devils were struggling for like a month span. And then the game against the Rangers, Damon Severson getting the game-winning goal in OT. That's what snapped the Devils out of their funk. This outing was not pretty, and I was really nervous heading into overtime because the Devils, they've sent a decent amount of their games into overtime, and coming into this matchup, their overtime record was 2-0-6. But the Devils found a way. Coming into this matchup, this Canadiens team has been one of the hottest teams in the NHL, and I got to give them a lot of credit. They were 7-2-1 in their previous 10. They play in a very tough division where points can be hard to come by. And during the course of this game, as it progressed, the Devils were putting some great pressure on the Canadiens, but the Canadiens were putting their bodies on the line, especially in that third period. The Devils were establishing some great offensive pressure, but the Canadiens were just refusing to give up. And their goalie, Jakub Dobish, in net, he was phenomenal. He was making a lot of big-time saves. So I got to give the Canadiens a lot of credit. And I was listening to this game on 3 different broadcasts. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but as you guys know, I love to hear from different perspectives. I was listening to the MSG side of things, which, by the way, I'm wishing the best for Bill Spaulding. He was not on the call for tonight's game. He went back to New Jersey to tend with an emergency. Matt Loughlin stepped into his position, and as a result, Sam Kassan and Amanda Stein, the 2 team reporters for the Devils, they filled in on the radio side of things. And this game was also being aired on NHL Network. They were showing the Canadiens broadcast. I just love hearing from different perspectives. And Amanda had a really good point to begin the game. The Canadiens, they were strong right from the opening faceoff. And she said that the Devils defense had to try to match the intensity. And while the defense wasn't its best, I would say the Devils in general did match the energy from the Canadiens as the game progressed. Unfortunately, the Canadiens were just playing scrappy. They were determined. They were aggressive. And I got to give them a lot of credit because I'm sure a lot of people look at the Canadiens and where they're at in the Atlantic Division and just write them off. But this was a very strong opponent for the Devils, and take it however you want to take it. I was rather impressed from Montreal, but I'm glad that the Devils put their foot on the gas pedal and did match the intensity from the Canadiens. In the first period, it was all Devils. Nico Hischier, he scored the opening goal. Then Jesper Bratt. I'll talk more about their goals and their impact on the game in the second segment. Then come the second period, Nick Suzuki, he cut the lead in half, 2-1. And then Tomas Tatar just relentless off a shot from Dougie Hamilton to give the Devils a 3-1 lead. Then Cole Caulfield, he hadn't scored in 5 games coming into this matchup. He had a laser of a shot. And then Carrier, in the third period, he scored his first goal as a member of the Canadiens to tie the game. And then overtime we go. I was rather concerned, but The Devils were opportunistic because I believe the Canadiens were the better team in overtime, and I was worried that the Devils would just have to settle with 1 point. But Jack Hughes, open breakaway, his bread and butter, and nonchalantly, he scored the goal to give the Devils the 4-3 victory. Okay, we're going to hear from Sheldon Keefe, and I will name my personal 3 stars of the game. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about Game Time. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I've actually used Game Time before to purchase myself some NBA and MLB tickets. I really enjoy the app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time, everybody. Okay, let's listen in to what head coach Sheldon Keefe had to say to the media post-game.
First off, just congratulations on the gutsy win. What can you say about the effort tonight?
Yeah, guys, found a way. I think gutsy is a good way to describe it. It's one of these nights where it's not going to be perfect, and you're trying to kind of patch it all together with obviously losing Nico, is at a critical time in the game, and Jack's playing at less than 100%, and is kind of minimized in some of the areas of the game. So those are 2 really important guys for us, So I love that we just stayed with it, even though you give up the lead and it has to get to overtime. Love that we didn't lose the point, and in fact, I'd loved how we pushed and probably deserved the second point in regulation. So played smart in overtime, fitting that Jack finishes it for us. Kind of sums up our night with him pushing through it.
Talk about more of that effort in overtime, the patience your team exuded when Montreal was really controlling most of those minutes and then being opportunistic when they got their chances.
Yeah, I thought we played smart, defended well. To kill some plays, push some things to the outside, got a couple saves. It was good. I think it was smart, and then they make a mistake, there's a turnover, and you make them pay for it. So that's kind of the nature of overtime, but I did like our process and thought we got rewarded fittingly.
How valuable has Lazar's line really been to you guys lately? The way they play and coming up with some goals here.
Yeah, huge goal for us. Just tremendous effort all the way around, and then for Tatar to get the effort and get rewarded to score is great. But yeah, the line has been consistent. They're playing hard, they're playing straight lines, and they're advancing the puck. Obviously, they've scored us some important goals, and on a night like tonight, I need to lean on them. And I've been really happy. They've certainly earned some trust.
And what can you say just about Jake coming in this building, and then also just for the team to sort of start maybe getting on a bit of a roll here with him in the net?
Yeah, he's been deserving of wins here. I don't know if he even got credit for the win the other night, coming in relief, but he's just been such a tremendous teammate, and he's played well for us, battled here tonight. Not an easy team to play against. They snapped the puck around really well, and there's lots of energy and emotion in the building. But I thought he was great, and loved that the guys battled in front of him and got him the win.
Similar to what I said in the first segment, this win was far from the Devils' best effort, but a win is a win, and they found a way. And similar to what Keefe said to the media, the Devils lost their captain at one point during the matchup, so other guys had to really step up. And something else he also talked about was that Jack Hughes is not 100%. He wasn't doing face-offs, and you could just tell that Jack didn't really have the same pep in his step as usual. He finished this game with a plus-minus of -2, and the only redeeming thing I could say about Jack in this matchup is that he scored the game-winning goal in overtime. So, by and large, he did have the biggest goal of the matchup, but Jack just didn't really look like himself. And going back to the face-off thing, in overtime, his brother Luke, a defenseman, took a face-off. And I'm just like, wait. Was that intentional or was that a mistake? I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, you don't see that too often. Luke Hughes taking a faceoff or a defenseman taking a faceoff. I was like in disbelief. But like Sheldon said, Jack's not 100%. And a lot of people are going to try to jump to conclusions and say that, oh, this is just going to be a repeat of last year. Jack's going to need season-ending surgery. Similar to what I said about Nico, similar to what I said about Jacob. Let's not jump to worst case scenario. When it comes to injuries, sometimes history doesn't repeat itself. PK Subban had this saying on that Face-Off documentary, which is everyone is dinged up as the season progresses. Nobody is 100% come playoff time. But come playoff time, the players do their absolute best to push through it. And I think a good example would be Gabriel Landeskog of the Avalanche. He pushed through a big-time injury in order to help his team win the Stanley Cup, albeit it did cost him, but he pushed through it. And it's not just Jack Hughes. It's not just Nico Hischier. Everyone is going to be feeling something as the season progresses, when the year finally comes to an end, or however far the Devils go in the playoffs. Everyone's going to be battling through something. So let's not think worst case scenario once again. And Jake Allen, coming back to Montreal and coming away with the win, I got to give him credit, which leads into my next talking point, which is let's name my personal 3 stars of the game and also some honorable mentions. All right. Honorable mention number 1 goes to Jake Allen. He's going to have to be an absolute warrior in between the pipes for the Devils, with Jacob Markstrom sidelined 4 to 6 weeks. Similar to what I said in the first segment, the Devils aren't playing any back-to-back games going into the Four Nations break. So I think, barring anything catastrophic happening, I'm projecting for Jake Allen to start in all of those games. My next honorable mention goes to Curtis Lazar and Nathan Bastian, and here's why. Curtis Lazar picked up the secondary assist on Tomas Tatar's goal, and Lazar now has 2 points in his previous 3 games. And Amanda brought this up post-game, which is the Lazar line really did come through in this matchup, and it resulted in Tomas Tatar scoring. And we complain a lot about the bottom 6, but they came out to play in this particular matchup. Next honorable mention, Jack Hughes getting the overtime game-winning goal. The reason I can't make him one of my 3 stars is just because he didn't really have his best outing. Not really going to hold that on him too much just because he is playing through something. And then Nico Hischier, he got the opening goal in the first period. Great setup from Jesper Bratt, an absolute magician with the puck. And I don't think that pass was intended for Nico. I think he was trying to give it to Stefan Nason, who was also hanging in front of the net. But Nico found the back of the net, and I'm not really going to complain about that. Absolute warrior in this game, Nico Hischier. My 3rd star of the game goes to Dougie Hamilton, who finished with 2 assists. He got the assist on Jesper Bratt and Tomas Tatar's goals. He now has 4 points in his last 2 games. 1 goal, 3 assists. Dougie Hamilton deserves some more recognition. My 2nd star goes to Tomas Tatar. Similar to Jake Allen, coming back to his old stomping ground, and he came away with the goal. And the Devils social media team had some fun with that one. On social media, they showed a clip of Canadiens fans screaming Tatar, and I thought that was pretty comical. So Tatar walked away with the goal in this game, but also worth mentioning, Tatar now has 3 points in his last 4 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. So Tuna is starting to pick it up just a little bit. And similar to Dougie Hamilton, I think more people need to talk about it. And then my 1st star, this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to give it to Jesper Bratt, because Jesper Bratt really got things started for the Devils in the first period. He was just knifing his way through traffic, not only on his assist to Nico Hischier, but also on his own goal. He was barreling his way through a bunch of Canadiens players, and Matt Loughlin said on air, it was a shovel shot, and Jesper Bratt made it a 2-0 game. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to Bratter. He's my personal first star of the game. All right. We're going to compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and a variety of bets keep everything exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has got you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade and get out of here. Shots on goal differential, 44-32 in favor of the Devils. Like I said in the first segment, full pressure by the Devils throughout the course of this game. But Dubas and a lot of players were putting their body on the line. Power plays, Devils were 0 for 1. Canadiens were also 0 for 1. Hits, 20-17 in favor of the Canadiens. Giveaways, dead even, 12 apiece. Takeaways, 3 apiece. Block shots, 32-22 in favor of the Canadiens. I would bet my bottom dollar that most of those blocks came in the third period. The Devils just couldn't get an answer. They were, I would say, they weren't being outworked by the Canadiens, but they were being outdogged, if that is even a word, and if that makes sense. The Canadiens were just, I know I've talked about a lot, but they impressed me. Time spent in the penalty box, 2 apiece. If I had to give the Devils a letter grade, this is a tough one. They didn't have their best outing, but they weren't exactly stomped by the Canadiens either. It's just the Canadiens put up a valiant effort. So if I had to give the Devils a letter grade, I will give them a C+, because I think they know that they're capable of playing a lot better. And at times, I was wondering why the defense would sometimes play so far back, because once they did that, that opened up a lot of shooting lanes for the Canadiens. And that's how Caulfield and Carrier scored their respective goals. So I was just a little confused why they didn't really come up with just a little bit more. Or maybe it's just me, but that's just what I noticed from watching this particular game. And Cole Caulfield not being a member of Team USA for 4 Nations, that is absolutely criminal. If you ask me, Caulfield needs to be on Team USA. He has to be. So those are my final assessments of the game. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier's injury situation? What did you think of this matchup from the Canadiens? And what did you just think of the overall effort on both sides? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.